call to order this Standing Committee on Finance and Operations. Dr. Friel, if you could please call the roll.
Ms. Mailman, Ms. Kamara,
Here.
and Chair O'Connell.
Here. Thank you. So this evening we have before us a public petition that was brought before us by the Goddard School Student Council on an Earth Day water bottle project that they did aimed at reducing plastic waste at the school. And that has, we had a presentation the evening at the school committee meeting. It got referred here for further discussion and for a response from administration. And so I'm going to start by asking Mr. Allen to address its CNP 3-4.1.
Thank you, through the chair. I just have a couple of slides that I want to share for this discussion. Thank you. So with regards to water fountains, drinking water, and water bottles, we agree we want to make efforts to reduce the amount of water bottles that are provided in the district. Just for setting some context, all water fountains were offline during COVID, but that's no longer the case because of COVID. Today, any fixture that's offline is a result of our recent 2022 lead and copper testing. And if I can just spend a couple seconds walking through kind of that from a large level, and then I'll talk a little bit about Goddard a little bit as well. So what's changed with regards to lead and copper in drinking water? So in 2016, we did similar testing across the district at all schools, all faucets, all water fountains, everywhere in the district. And with regards to copper, the threshold has not changed. It's 1.3 milligrams per liter, and we're using both EPA and Mass DEP's threshold limits here. However, the lead threshold has significantly declined since 2016, which has taken more fixtures offline for those public schools. And we'll talk what we're doing to address those, particularly around water fountains. So in 2016, the threshold for lead was 0.15 milligrams per liter. And in 2022, testing levels could be no higher than 0.001 milligrams per liter. So obviously that's a significant threshold difference for fixtures within the district. At Goddard, there were 12 fixtures that exceeded the lead levels. 3 were drinking fountains, and those are all offline. There are 4 sinks, and they are required to have 30-second daily flushing, and then 5 classroom faucet, and there should be hand washing only signs posted. With regards to copper, there were no fixtures that had exceedances above the 1.3 milligrams per liter. So the action steps that are being applied across the entire district and all schools have received notification of their individual units that exceed either lead or copper levels. First is we're keeping the fixture out of use. The second one, as we said, we're flushing the water, flushing them for 30 seconds at the start of each day, or third, hand washing only signs. And so those are essentially the 3 options that we have available right now as short-term solutions until we can replace those units. We've had conversations at the school committee level, and the school committee has accepted the FY23 SWIG grant, which is replacing 50 water bottle refilling stations in the district, and then using ESSER funding, we're replacing 218 units across the district. So, since it's a petition for Goddard, it's important to note that the SWIG grant is providing 1 unit for Goddard and 3 through ESSER funds. So they have 3 water fountains that have exceeded the lead unit. 3 of those units will all be replaced plus an additional unit. So they'll get 4 water bottle filling stations at Goddard Elementary between now and September of 2024. As you know, ESSER funding is good through September 2024. By the time we bid out an award and order and install, we expect it will take all the way till September of 2024 to complete these projects. All of the schools by location lead and copper drinking water test results are on the district's website. The link is here. It's under the facilities management, then environmental management portion of our website. So this really isn't a presentation about lead and copper in drinking water per se district-wide, but I did want to bring it to attention as it relates to Goddard, why the fixtures are offline and what our plan is to replace them over the next year and a half or so. So with that, I turn it back to the school committee.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. So you came this evening to represent your colleagues. Do you mind, first of all, just turning on the mic and introducing yourself?
My name is Ray.
Thank you for being here. So given what you presented to us at the school committee meeting, and then also what you just saw, and also I had a chance to come talk to you and your classmates a bit ago, are there any questions you have about sort of what the plans are?
No.
Okay. Is there anything that you want to tell us about this plan, or anything that you had done? That's great. I did just want to mention when Goddard came before us, they had asked if it would be possible to have 3. So we're actually able to give some bonus additional good news because they're actually going to be getting 4 in total. I should note though that these are 6th graders, so they won't actually see it, but they are leaving a legacy behind them in terms of what's at Goddard of something that they had asked for that actually will be coming through. So if you don't have anything, I'm going to turn to my colleagues. Member Melman, anything that you'd like to ask or say?
Ray, through the chair, I wonder, Ray, where are you going to go to school next year?
Next year, I'm going to go to Sullivan Middle School.
You are. And do they have water filling stations, Mr. Allen?
Through the chair, yes, all schools except for Nelson Place, South High will be getting new state water
Awesome.
water filling stations.
I also saw one out in the hall at City Hall. Maybe we could grab that one and transport it over to, they would never know. We're on TV.
We're on TV.
Thank you for being here. It's good to hear from you.
And Vice Chair Kamara.
Thank you. I also want to say thank you for being here and thank you for your advocacy because at your age, 6th grade, I think the fact that you have started your career with advocating for something that was so dear to you on all of your peers, and now that there is a result, an outcome to that, I think it makes for, something that you should be and all of you or your peers should be proud of, and you can add to a resume, which will still stand even though you're going to be a 7th grader. But you can talk about this, that, this is what you did, you and your peers, and these are the outcomes that have been generated from that. So thank you.
Thank you. And I also want to thank you both for your work with the students and bringing them forward and making sure, shepherding them through this process and making sure they got to where they needed to be and all of that. It's been great to see the work that has been done. Great. Yes, it was. It's actually a great, I'm thinking this as we get a lot of the civics projects from 8th grade, that we're getting a lot of very sort of, here are the things that we need, and we get to work about how the process works, and sometimes there's a positive answer like there is tonight, which we're always really pleased by. Great. Thank you very much. Thank you, and thanks again for being here. All right, so with that, I'm going to suggest that we file CNP 3-4.1, and we're all here, so I'm just going to do it on a voice vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? All right, excellent. And then we will take up our monthly district-operated transportation report, GB 2-241.11, for the second to last time, I believe. Mr. Allen?
Thank you, and to the committee, I'm pleased to report that even since last month, we've been able to add 5 drivers to our complement. So last month, we reported 182 drivers. At May 11th, when we did this report, we're at 187. And just comparing that to where we were a year ago in the month of May, we've made a significant improvement in the number of drivers. We're about 9 drivers short of where we'd want to be for total number of drivers for the planned routes. Of course, we want more than that to cover for daily absences and coverages and so forth. So work continues. It is my expectation that when we provide the June report, that will be added to the 187 driver complement going into the summer months and then planning for the FY24 school year. So I commend as I've done, I think, each month, I commend the partnership with Mass Hire. I commend the work that our trainers are doing. Appreciate the support of the school committee in adding the additional trainers, particularly more recently, to allow us to get more people through the pipeline and also to provide ongoing training to the existing drivers. So all of that has culminated into where we are seeing an upward trajectory for the number of drivers. Just in regards to vehicles, there's really no update in the last couple of months on vehicles. We continue to work with our supplier and expect our midsize and wheelchair buses over the course of the fall. We do understand some of them are slated to be built soon, so hopefully we'll start seeing them rolling into Worcester in early fall, but more to come on that. Fueling station is fully operational. About 80% of our fleet has been transitioned over to the Pullman Street location. And again, we're making that available for all Worcester Public Schools vehicles that fuel by gasoline. So it's not just for school buses. It's available for all facilities, nutrition, school-related vehicles. We've issued a contract for the purchase of 2970 transit-style vans, again with the delivery by the end of this calendar year. We're looking to issue another bid for minivans, up to another 31 over the next several months. Again, trying to pay attention to vehicle availability and realistic when we would receive those vehicles. As a result of that, the FY24 budget adds 4070 drivers to be phased in with the vehicles. So as we have word of when vehicles will be arriving, we'll coincide that with our hiring process. We do expect that I think we've already had some outreach for people interested in being 70 drivers. Again, it's a different licensing threshold, so we anticipate we could ramp up for those drivers more quickly than for the other school bus vehicles. The FY24 budget also has 5 fuelers to assist with second shift fueling of vehicles, and then the budget also supports what the school committee asked for during budget last year based on vehicle and driver availability, to fund any student-related organization field trip or trip, not just athletics. So you'll see a significant amount of funding that's been set aside to accommodate any student request, other than the field trips that the WEDF provides, because they do have some external support around that funding. So those will continue, plus the ongoing athletic support and other student trips. As long as we have vehicles, we'll provide that support to students.
Excellent, thank you very much. Member Millman.
Wow, very cool, thank you.
Vice Chair Kamara.
Thank you. I think the only thing I have to add, and I think in one of our meetings, Chair Novik mentioned that it looks pretty nice when you drive to places, or when you're driving, in the city or some other place, you see our buses, come along, and then you see Worcester Public Schools, even though sometimes I have to stop because they have to put the red light. There's always, yeah, exactly. But it's still a wonderful experience seeing all of the work over the years. So thank you.
And speaking of which, this is the first chance we've gotten a chance to congratulate you all. And you are better equipped than I, Mr. Allen, to explain what it is that the Worcester Public Schools were awarded last week. So if you could possibly do that, please.
To the chair, so for the second time, the district, which is the first time for the Mass Association of School Business Officials, the district has been awarded what's called the Don Johnson Cost and Operational Efficiency Award, which is, so we received one for our special education in-house services several years ago when we moved autism services in-house and saved a significant amount of dollars. And then last week we were recognized at ASBO. We all three were able to attend the award ceremony. And it does recognize and was well received the efforts that Worcester has made in terms of moving student transportation in-house, the cost savings and how we've been able to use those cost savings to improve transportation options for students, removing some of those barriers, particularly what we just talked about for those student organizations at minimal cost to the district. And so that was well received. And again, that's really through the work of the gentlemen that surround me, day in and day out for the last 3 years, consistently, and quite frankly, the support of the school committee. This would not have happened without the support of the school committee. So it truly was awarded to the district, not to any individual. And so that does speak to the collective efforts of what it needed to move transportation, student transportation to where we are. I spent the entire time speaking to other districts and staffing shortages that they continue to face, vehicle shortage that they continue to face, customer service issues that they have with their contracted service provider. We're dealing with some of those ourselves, but we're also been able to address and lead, be held accountable for everything else regarding student transportation. So we have work to do. We recognize that. Really, it's just around filling the driver gap. I think everything else is taking care of itself. And at the end of the day, whatever the level of service that we can expand, whether it's, we talked about it last monthly meeting, late buses for secondary schools, these student organizations that want during the day or weekend or night trips at no cost to them, being absorbed by the district, because we're really just paying driver salary and some vehicle fuel and maintenance costs. Other than that, there's no profit to be made. We can do it at a very minimal cost to the district to do that. So we are proud of that accomplishment, and I will save. We know the district is getting another award later this fall for this move. So thank you to the school committee. Thank you to the transportation team who is living and working this out on a daily basis. It's truly been a success and recognized by the Mass Association of School Business Officials. So thank you.
Excellent, congratulations. And I do want to say that it really is, it's remarkable to be living in a district that isn't having the struggles that are on every listserv that I'm on every day. As people have asked me what the change is like, and it's not even like night and day, it's more dramatic than that. So I'm glad that it's being recognized outside the district. I also did want to echo what you had said in terms of the revolution of field trips, as someone who historically remembers that the main reason that we didn't send students on field trips was not actually the cost for the museum or the zoo or the whatever, it was actually the cost of the buses. To have that just sort of removed from the equation is really a revolution. I'm not actually sure that my junior's been in class 5 days in a week in the last little bit, but it's all good stuff. And that makes a huge, huge difference in terms of what's available to our students. I did just want to ask, you mentioned the fuelers. Can you just explain what that's about, please?
To the chair, so the budget reflects a model where buses are fueled during second shift, so not during midday. So drivers can be driving, and so if they're doing athletic trips, we can use 5 fuelers to be shuttling the buses from the bus yard to the fueling station. Since we can't have fueling on premises because of Conservation Commission restrictions, the budget reflects a model where we hire 5 fuelers to shuttle buses back and forth. We're still evaluating that, so that model might actually change because the positions aren't in place, but we're using drivers to accomplish that. So we may come back with a different recommendation down the road, but that is how the FY24 budget has been constructed.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to make sure I was understanding that appropriately. I did just want to flag, I know we mentioned last month, the sort of maybe the exuberance, let's call it that, of athletic scheduling. We continue to seem to be running into that. I know of another sort of sports team that was left without transportation, and it isn't because of anything that we did differently. It's because there were more things scheduled than we had buses for. So just channeling that back through to the appropriate place. And then the only other question, since we are sort of winding down what will be these monthly reports, I'm assuming, looking at the recommendation here, that the answer to this is no. But I did want to actually ask the question. In terms of the structure that has been put in place in and overseeing and administering transportation. Are there any gaps? Are there any changes you're thinking of? Are there any things that we should be aware of?
I think, to the chair, I think the advantage of the pre-work that was done prior to the school committee vote in August 2021, and the flexibility that the school committee provided administration through this process, I think we've identified, as things stand now, the appropriate level of drivers needed, mechanics needed, customer service positions, supervisors needed. So as we grow in drivers, or we grow in the demands of using transportation longer through the day because of student opportunities that we are providing, we'll reserve the right to come back to the school committee. But as we envision it now, I think we're appropriately staffed for the size of operation that we have for student transportation.
Okay, good. I think that's all I had. So the only other thing I would say in terms of I'm sure we'll get there, in terms of the Johnson Award, is I did want to say to you, Mr. Allen, thank you for not giving up on us, since that originally was not proposed in 2021. It was originally proposed in 2019 and was even thought of before that. It was your persistence that got us here. So with that, I will make a motion to hold this item. All those in favor? All right. And a motion to adjourn. We'll take a roll call on that.
Member Kamara,
Oh, yes.
Member Mailman,
Yes.
and Chair O'Connell Novick.
Yes, thank you.